Hello folks and welcome to our game with myself, Shane Stapleton, joined as ever by Michael Verney, and delighted to say we have former Wexford, Carlow, Kerry, Cork. You've managed them all, John Meyler. How are you?
Yeah, I've been around the country, Shane. Good morning. I'm about to leave now, so get on with it. I've been around the country, Shane.
And where are you off to?
Sorry?
Where are you off to?
I'm off to playing a bit of golf, Shane. Come on. I retired 6 months ago. I've done my time. You know. So.
And how's the golf game going?
That's good. I played off 4 or 5 a good few years ago, but I can't get back now. I've 2 hips done in the last 15 years. I can't get back to where I was really, you know. So I play social golf, play for a bit of crack, have a pint afterwards, and I really enjoy a couple of buddies I play with, and I enjoy the company and the crack. So, and it's great exercise. So I'm exercising, doing a bit of cycling and swimming. So I'm just kept going. That's it.
Yeah, joys of life, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, does retirement mean you have more time for teams, John? Or I presume you're still involved down in Kerry? Or
I'm still involved with Kilkenny and with the Cork under-16s. But what it means is that there's more administration. So I probably spend an hour, 2 hours every morning on the laptop just tidying up, you know, what's on, you know, with the under-16s with Kilkenny and that. It's more and more really, like where Intercounty was 24/7. You know, the club, there's little bits and pieces, fellas injured, arranging matches, things like that. A lot of young fellas away now, Michael. They're away in third level. So, you know, I mean, they're not at home training with Kilkenny during the week. We've 4 fellas in college. So, you know, you have cows calving and farmers at this time of the year. So there's an awful lot of things, you know.
There's one for you, John. Just wondering, what down through your years, what's the best/weirdest excuse you've ever got for somebody not turning up for a training or a match?
Well, Paddy O'Connor, who's playing midfield with Kerry at the moment, and he was a farmer as well, milking cows, and he rang me about 6:30 and he said, I won't make training. He said, the cows are disagreeing with me this evening. Like, but that's you know, and I remember I'll mention his name, Sean Crowley. He's playing with Cork at the moment. He's on the extended panel and that, and Crowley was with me at under 15 and under 16, and he came to me, you know, when I was involved with the 15, 7 or 8 years ago, and he said, John, I can't make training on Saturday. And I said, Sean, Jesus, it's important, you know, we need everybody there. And he said, no, John, I can't make it. I have the All-Ireland accordion finals in Athlone at the weekend. So I said, Jesus, I said, where did this come out? So Sean's grandfather is a unbelievable accordion player, and that's why he's a great man on the squeeze box. So, you know, there's some cows calving, and
he might miss training or miss a game, John, but the crack that he'd be able to generate with the accordion afterwards.
Yeah, but he was a superb young fella, great young fella, Crowley, and you know what I mean, the accordion and the Kerry boys with cows calving, they ring you like, and that's it, I go and make training, like, and you know the excuse is genuine. You know, whereas a fella said, oh, I have COVID or I have the flu, like that's a fella who doesn't want to go training, you know. So
yeah, there's a lad from Bursley who didn't take a call from the tip miners because farming. Yeah, so you have lads who do that. And then I also remember in Coola several years ago now, and you shouldn't put this on the group where all the players see it. He was like, lads, I can't make training. My girlfriend had booked dinner for my birthday, so I can't make it. I mean, what planet are you on?
That's not an excuse, Shane. That's not an excuse.
No, that was in the years where we weren't winning. No, surprise, surprise. How do you think Cork have been going so far this year, John?
I think they've been going really well. I think the first day out they started against Limerick. Limerick took the foot off the gas, you know, in the last 20 minutes of the game, made substitutions and that. But Cork were competitive that day, and they've done really well in the league to date with the young fellas. And they've tried an awful lot of the young fellas, Owen Downey at full back and things like that. And they've eaten Toomey and those. They've brought in the young fellas. The problem will be now going to Kilkenny on Sunday at 4:00. And, you know, the old usual games against Kilkenny and Nolan Park is going to be tough. It's going to be hard. And Cork are going to get the test that they wanted. And I remarked to Donal O'Mahony that it was vital that Cork would win that game on Sunday and give them another game before the Munster Championship, because they're not out the first Sunday, the first weekend in the Munster Championship. So they're going into the second round fixtures cold, and I think they need another game in 2 weeks' time then in the league final. So it's important. But it's very positive. It's the work rate has gone up from previous years, and I like it. And they're scoring and things like that. And then you also have like Lehan came on last week. Seamus is back in again, and there's positive signs, really positive, young, energetic young players. But it's going to be difficult looking at the environment that they're in, going to Nolan Park. Kilkenny have been not exactly, flying on all cylinders. The bits and pieces stuttering here and there, but they've got over the line. They're into a semi-final, and the way they'll take semi-finals. They'll go at it. The crowd will turn up on Sunday, and Cork need that extra game to get over them then.
John,
but very positive.
What's it like bringing a team to Nolan Park? What are you trying to get the players to prepare themselves for? Like, is it the environment itself, or like, is it how the crowd gets up for it when the Kilkenny lads do something good?
But it's just Kilkenny in Nolan Park. You know what's coming. You know what I mean? You don't have to tell them this is going to be hard, it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult. And there's a huge challenge there playing Kilkenny on their home patch. And as I said, Kilkenny don't have the team that they had 10, 15 years ago. But Ling has taken over from Cody, so that's a challenge to him as well to get it going. The crowd at times in Kilkenny were giving out about the shorthand passing game, which they didn't want to see. They want to see more traditional. So I think if Kilkenny are positive and go, I'm not saying long ball, but more direct ball, then the crowd will get behind them. And Cork, will be fast, mobile, etc. But it's a difficult environment to get in there, and it's a challenge for Pat Rhino and Donald really to get going. And they need, as I said, that extra game, Shane, Michael. They need that extra game before the Munster Championship, because looking at Tip and Limerick, the way they've gone in the league, and that the extra game will stand to them.
Just, John, when you mentioned about playing Kilkenny, is it just that that your mettle is going to be really tested, like that you're not going to get anything soft at all, that you're going to have to kind of, you're going to have to win a lot of kind of tough physical altercations? Is that, whereas maybe with some other, you know what I mean?
That's the type of game that they play, like that. They play a physical game. They'll play it whatever way you want them to play it. They'll play a physical game. They've good touch. They're strong men. They can all hurl. Every one of them can hurl. And I was only just remarking to people during the week there that Kieran's won the All-Ireland colleges again, and they're providing all of those young players to Kilkenny over the years. And Walter Walsh and those guys, it's hard, it's physical, it's tough, and it'll really find out where Cork are in terms of their preparation for the championship and the league campaign that they've had to date. So it'll be tough. It's fair. They've always been fair. I've never criticised Kilkenny for anything other than beating us or whatever. But the hurling will be hard, honest, and fair, and you're going to get a game there, and that's what's coming.
Can I just ask one other quick thing, John, about the league? The league has changed a small bit maybe since you were manager, as in the proximity to championship. Would you be changing your approach much? Like people would say, oh, some team took a pull last weekend, or they weren't going all out. Like, is it even possible to do that as a manager? Like you're never going to say to your players, oh, don't go 100% this week. But how would you be treating the league now if you were Cork manager, shall we say?
I would be treating the league seriously. I'd be trying to find one or two players. That's what every manager does. But under no circumstances would I be trying to, pull any game or things like that. Because, and I said this to Donald, like that, you're 4 or 5 weeks out from Munster Championship. You haven't got a first round game. So you really need to hit the ground running. You need an extra game here. So the league is vital. And it annoys me that a lot of people were criticising the league, and the league was this, the league was that, the league was only worth, somebody said, €2 coin or something like that. I think that's very disingenuous to the sponsors, Allianz, the GA, and that. The league has to be taken seriously to try and blood young fellas. And Cork have done that with a few young fellas, Ethan Toomey, Owen Downey, those fellas, and giving them more time. And Pat has done that. So, you're judged in the GA on your championship. That's what you're really judged. You're not judged on the league. You're judged on your championship performance. And the round robin thing is very competitive, very difficult, very challenging. You have to hit the ground running. And looking at Limerick, the way they've treated the league this year compared to last year, You know, they're introducing 1 or 2 players every week of the senior players. Galan was back. You know, they're giving more game time to fellas and things like that. So it's going to be competitive, and you have to be ready for the Munster Championship.
And you had a number of these young Cork players through your hands in recent years with the underage system. Could you talk to us about a few of those players and who you had?
Like that's, you know, Tommy O'Connell now was centre back with us. I remember at 15, 16. That's going back 2015, 2016. Tommy was a bit erratic, you know, and where we would play him and things like that. So we kind of fixed him around the midfield area at that age. Lovely hurler, really, really, really good hurler. But like Ben O'Connor going to Middleton to win a county with Middleton, Ben put him centre back, and I think that's kind of solidified Tommy there. Tommy's a really, really good hurler. So he'll be thereabouts in the half back line. Strong, tough character. Then you had the 2 Roaches, and it's quite I'm saying funny about the 2 Roaches, but the 2 Roaches were with us at under 15, and I remember saying to them, look lads, I'm going to put you with the B team in under 15 tournament, which was playing up in Clare at that stage, but you're going to play minor for Cork in 3 years' time. And what the 2 Roaches had, they weren't massive big fellas, but what they had was an unbelievable work ethic. And they come from Bride Rovers, which would be the club of Brian Murphy. So you obviously just pick out what they had. They had Bride Rovers toughness, Brian Murphy toughness about them. And, you know, everybody knew at the time that they would go on, and they played minor for us. And then they won their under 20 Ireland, and now the 2 of them are playing senior. So, like, look, they're wonderful, 2 wonderful young fellas. You, Sean Toomey, as I said earlier about the accordion. Toomey is a guy, 6'3", big man, you know, strong, great hand. If he can get the ball in his hand, he's an excellent player, plays with Cork Rovers. So there's a lot of young talent there, Shane, really, really coming up. But it's a matter of bringing them through now to senior level. And the step up on Sunday against Kilkenny is going to test them, because, you know, Walter is on, or Walter is not playing, or Walter doesn't start, or the Ballyhale fellas, TJ and those, they appear suddenly. You know, you don't have much room for error. So there's great young talent there at the moment, but it's you know better than I do from Tipperary. It's getting that talent, like, and Cahill has done that now with those under 20 Ireland fellas as well. So tough. Yeah.
Hurling 1, 2, 3, 4 says, what have you made of Roach and Toomey at midfield? And I think more so here, Pádraig Power and Brian Hayes up front as new players.
Yeah, look, Brian Hayes has come out of the bars. He's son of Paddy Hayes, nephew of Ger Cunningham, so big tall, and he opted for hurling over football. So Brian is, you know, getting his point or two. And Ethan Toomey at midfield played well for the bars there. Young Barrett has been in and out of the Cork panel for the last year or 2 years. So, look, all of those players are good players, Michael and Shane. But you're going to be tested on Sunday. You're going to be tested in Nolan Park. And, you know, Cork will sit back, Pat will sit back and review the game on Sunday and see how they perform. I think that's the bottom line here. These guys know we'll get a test on Sunday, because knowing Kilkenny, they'll want to win the game. They want to win every game. You know what I mean? And that's their you know, their core ethic of winning games and getting on with it. And, you know, come and talk to me at 5 o'clock on Sunday evening, and then you'll know where they are, Shane. I won't have to ring you or anything like that.
I'm just asking, John, do you think have you seen evidence of a bit more doggedness about Cork?
Yeah, there's more work
Pat
rate. Yeah, there's more work rate like that. You know, the work rate definitely has gone up, and well, it had to go up really at times, because we've a lot of very good forwards, and you know, really give them the ball and they'll score. But you know, when the opposition has the ball coming out of defence, then Cork forwards tend to let them off a small bit, and you cannot do that at the moment. But like, look, that work ethic, Pat and Donald have brought that work ethic in. You know, it'll be tested. It'll be tested on Sunday and in the league final, and really more so now, Michael, in the Munster Championship, which is going to be really, really ultra competitive again. So the work rate is up, but it's a work in progress as distinct from a consistent work ethic.
John, what do you think of the amount of injuries? And it's not just Cork, because I'd say you'd say the same for Waterford, for Tip, for Wexford. I think they're actually glad at a break. But like
13,
Alan,
I think,
yeah, like you've got Alan Connolly, Dara Fitzgibbon. I think even Decky Dalton and Seamus Hardy might have picked up knocks last week. There's a lot of the frontline players from Cork who are out of action at the moment. So it actually makes it doubly impressive that they've won every game, but not ideal heading into Munster.
Yeah, but look, that's the, you know what I mean? I'm not on the inside of the camp, but that's the training techniques and what guys are going through. And you know, I think and I've said this before, I'm not sure that I say it to you, but that the pre-season in GA is miles too long. You have pre-season of probably 3 months, 4 months, and players are just running to the ground and things like that. Where if you go back and look at the professional approach in the Premier League, it's 6 weeks training. Even less, you know, 3-4 weeks, because fellas are fit, and then it just takes 3-4 weeks to pop that up. Whereas in the GAA, people tend to run players into the ground, and as a result of that, get injured. So, you know, I would say a shorter preseason, but look, that's another day's work.
Oh, I couldn't agree anymore. And do you know another thing, Michael? I'll even throw this to you. I was chatting to a runner the other day, and just talking about injuries at this time of the year. And one point that was made to me was you've got players who are going from maybe astro one day to heavy pitch the other day to a wet astro the next day if it's raining and all this kind of stuff. It makes it very hard on your body, especially if you haven't had enough recovery time.
Well, I always found it in the last couple of years, my knees and hips wouldn't be great for real hard surfaces like that. So if I went from an all-weather to a pitch a couple of days later, I don't know, but I'd be aching my hips. It's a different type of an impact. You're a different type of fatigue coming off an astro pitch, which is, to me, it's really unrealistic. It's great to play games there when there's no other option, but it's totally like unrealistic to what happens on a pitch. The ball, like, I always think it's a forwards game. Like the dome up in Connacht is an unbelievable facility, but like it's a forwards game. It's all perfect touch. You'll never miss a ball. You never walk out over a ball like that. Whereas you go out on the pitch, it's completely different, and it's the same for training. Something I wanted to throw to John. John, what's it like when you have, you know, a big injury list like that? Are you like, how much time are you putting into, you know, making sure if you've 10 lads out injured, checking up with all of them, making sure their rehabilitation programs are right, making sure you're integrating them back in right? And imagine that's very challenging, because like, I'm just thinking, just say a lad's not available for the first round of Munster, but you think he'll be available for the third round. You have to.
But that's where you need. I go back, and there's an awful lot of talk nowadays about the manager, inverted commas, and how important the manager and who the manager is. The manager really is only the front guy. What you have around you is your environment, and part of that environment is the medical team, the doctor, you know, surgeon, whatever, physios. They're the guys that keep the bus on the road, really. They're the guys that keep players from not getting injured. And it's injury prevention which is more important than injury cure. If you understand me, you're trying to prevent players from getting injured. Like, you know, Harned, you know, for instance, you know, he's been in and out there the last few years and things like that. You're trying to get him right for the Munster Championship. So there's certain players you're trying to get right for championship date in the middle of April. There's certain players then that, you know what I mean, you're probably need to have a look at in the league because they're not going to play in the championship. So the medical team and that whole setup, Michael, is critical. And having really, really good guys, and then having really good access then to guys like Ray Moran or Aina Falvey or those and Joe Jordan here in the affiliate clinic in Cork. So you really need, you know, a really strong medical setup and injury prevention. And this is where I go back to what I said to you a minute ago about running the living daylights out of people in pre-season. You're overloading them, whereas they already have a base of fitness from the previous year. So it should be just to top it up. Like my own fella, when he went back to Hull, or when he went back to Sunderland for pre-season, it was 6 weeks, and he said, "Yeah, Dad," he said, "this is going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be twice a day." And I went over and I said, "Jesus," I thought it was quite, you know, okay. It wasn't really, really challenging. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of GA players are just running to the ground, and you know.
Can I just ask you one other quick one, John? You mentioned there about Seamus Harnedy and older players, and basically, like, and it's the same with Shane O'Donnell and Clare. You want him ready. You want him ready for championship. But how do you balance that with, you know, a younger lad who needs to train every night and show up the whole time? Are there conversations you have? Do you make the squad aware that you might have to treat, you know, the more experienced lad a bit different?
Yeah, you probably have 3 different levels in any camp, in any setup, because you have the guys starting off, you have the guys in the middle, and you have the guys at the end. So you have Harnedy, Hoggy, Lahan, and those. You need those guys in the Munster Championship in April. No, the middle ground fellas would be a fierce worry for me at Cork at the moment, like Fitzy, Tim O'Mahony, Mark Coleman. They're not around there at the moment. So like my aim there would be that you would give them maybe 20 minutes against Kilkenny on Sunday, or if you got into a league final and in 2 weeks' time, that you'd give them a go, or you'd have a challenge game arranged, you know, with somebody to try and reintroduce. And then you have the younger fellas, as I said, about Tommy, about the 2 Roaches, about Sean Toomey, Padraig Power, those kind of guys. Then, you know what I mean, they're going to do a little bit more work than what the older fellas are. So you have, but that's the key, Michael. You have to manage the 3 different groups, and with everybody, with everybody in the setup, with the medical team, with the training team, the fitness team, the strength and conditioning, all of those. And that's where your individual plans are critical. And, you know, my own fella, when he was in the Premiership, he really, really good access to trusted physios. Dave Bingsley, now that was at Sunderland, he's with Liverpool now. So, or Man United. So really, really good people to know how to solve the problems. It's how to solve injury issues. And you know, fellas have problems. It's how to solve them. And you need to do it the year before. If you need to be looking at injuries 6 months ago, 9 months ago, as distinct from now. It's too late now, because there's very little you can do about it. So it's preventative maintenance you really need to do.
John, a final thing, I'm sure you have to go off with your tea time, but a final thing, just in terms of Pat Ryan, he doesn't really do the interviews we see Wayne Sherlock doing them. I did actually interview him about 3 years ago. Nice, personable guy. What can you tell us about him and his approach to hurling with Cork?
I was involved in 17, and Pat was doing the coaching in 17. Straight up, no bullshit. You know what I mean? I had managed Stars to win 2 county championships in Cork there a few years back. So good guy, knows he's hurling, keeps it quiet. There's no fuss about him. And, you know, he was with most of those young lads doing 220 All-Irelands. And he's good people around Sherlock, and you know what I mean? I have great time for Donald O'Mahony. I think he's excellent, very calm, you know what I mean? So he's a good team around. And then he has the benefit then, Shane, of all of those under 20 All-Ireland. The same as Carl and Tipperary. So, and they would know them inside out. They know what makes them tick. They know what doesn't make them tick. They know their weaknesses, their strengths. And Carl is exactly the same in tip with those 220 All-Ireland. So, look, it's going to be really, really fascinating, interesting Munster Championship this year.
Oh, yeah. And actually, Michael was keen to know, who are the 3 teams that are going to come out of Munster this year, do you reckon?
I don't think there's much debate, really. I think it's Limerick, Tip and Cork. I think, look, you have the same problems with Waterford. You've Austin, whether he's injured, whether he's not injured. Austin is a huge part to play in Waterford. Conor Prunty is injured as well. And they were unlucky to be injured in the last few weeks. I honestly don't know what Clare are doing. I just can't see them, you know, filling the gap in the next month, really. I think they've a patchy league, you know. They promised more last year. They didn't deliver. They're always promising and then don't deliver. And for that talent of player that's there, Tony Kelly and those guys, they're not giving enough, really. And when it matters now. And I expected more from them last year against Limerick last year. But I just see Limerick will the only people that will beat Limerick will be Limerick themselves. That's all. I looking at them, I saw them down here in the park and they pulled up, and then the other matches they've won. It'll be interesting though playing Tipperary, because I think Tip will want to have a cut as well. I think Tip are going really well. I think Cal, provided he corrects the wrongs of last year with Waterford in the before the Cork match, the 2 weeks training before the Cork match. I think if he corrects that and sees that through, and then Cork will come. I think Cork will give it a rattle. The fact Waterford have lost home advantage in Walsh Park is a massive blow, even though they love playing in Thurles. I don't think won't be a massive negative, but I just see Limerick, Tip and Cork coming out, and then you have on the other side, you've Galway, you've Kilkenny. I honestly don't know what Dublin are or where Dublin are. I've been really disappointed with them. I saw Wexford, and Wexford were short players, even though they were here now in the park, and they had a chance. Jack O'Connor had a chance for a goal. Patrick Collins made a great save, and then Matthew O'Hanlon going off injured was a massive loss just in that league game, because Harnedy went in on the square and broke the ball. And Wexford, there's a few players gone off the Wexford panel, so you know what I mean. The third place in Leinster is going to be difficult. You know.
Well, brilliant stuff, John. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed a round of golf.
I will, and I think about you, and I'd
say you will.
Huh?
Thanks, John. I'd say you'll be thinking about us. All right. Thanks,
I'll be thinking about you. All right, don't worry. Good luck.
Cheers, John.
Good luck.